Hello, everybody, and welcome in on this wonderful Wednesday. We hope your day is off to a great start. Brooks Baptiste here, checking in from the First Alert desk. What a day it's been. It's been a pretty busy morning, and we have a couple of stories that we're staying on top of, making sure you're in the know about as we approach. Well, I should say we just got into the 11 o'clock hour, but as we get closer to our noon newscast here at Atlanta News First, a lot of stories we're watching right now. This first one out of Marietta, where there are no longer going to be certain books found on library shelves. We're talking about 23 books that have now been banned because of the board, which says that they are sexually explicit. Atlanta News First, Rebecca Schramm has more from Marietta, and it's interesting because she's reporting that the move wasn't necessarily a surprise.
I've been looking through three of the 23 books that were banned by the school board last night here in Marietta. And yes, they do contain situations that are sexually explicit. Take a look. In a 6-1 decision, the Marietta School Board voted to ban the books, even in high school. The books vary. Some have heterosexual situations, some homosexual, and some both. 13 of the 23 books had to do with LGBTQ themes, including one that contains experiences of kids discovering that they are transgender. Several parents were happy with the ban, as you're about to hear, but first, here's a student who spoke out against the ban.
We're about to go to college, and they're preparing us to be the future, and we need to be ready to face the realities that we are going to see and be able to develop as not just students but humans.
Why do we have standards for what they can search on the internet and what movies they see, but we don't have a system for what's in the books? It is their responsibility to have standards set for what is going to be good for our education.
Supporters of the ban point out that the books are still available online and in bookstores. If you'd like to see a list of all the books banned by the City of Marietta schools, we've got them in a story on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, and on our app. In Marietta, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
And you can imagine that the controversy surrounding this decision is not over. It is far from over because, as you just heard there are many students who seem to be passionate about whether they believe they should be able to read what they want to read and it should be found on their bookshelves. But then you also have some parents who are saying, wait a minute, or even some that are part of the school system that are saying, I don't know about this. I feel like there should be some form of some regulations there. Another one that we're staying on top of right now is the story of Hannah Payne, the trial of her murdering a Clayton County man, which has now become, I should say, national headlines. And she was found guilty on all accounts. This is after murdering a man when he left the scene of a hit and run back in 2019. It's one of those stories that we've been watching, waiting to see how the jury was going to deliver that verdict. Well, that verdict has come out, and she is found guilty. Bridget Spencer has more on what is going to be next for Hannah Payne.
Been long and arduous. It was hard on my family.
I'll never forget it. It will forever be ingrained in my heart and in my mind.
Just a really tough situation when you hear from the family of Kenneth Herring, who is the man who was killed by Hannah Payne. Just an awful situation here, and one where you had the defense that was ensured to say that they didn't feel like, they were responsible for pulling the trigger, that Hannah Payne was responsible for pulling that trigger. But then the Kenneth Herring, the prosecutor, I should say, which the family was so certain about, the family of Kenneth Herring was so certain about, because there was just a lot of concern right now about the whole situation, and as far as how he was followed from the scene. The cops in this situation said that, or the dispatch, I should say, said told Hannah Payne not to go, not to follow, but she did it anyway. So again, she has now been found guilty on all counts. Her sentencing is set for Friday. We're going to hear from Bridget Spencer, but unfortunately, it looks like something might have happened with the story that I had queued up here. So forgive me if I'm just talking it through right now. But Hannah Payne, again, has been found guilty on all counts, and she is now going to be sentenced on Friday. We are going to carry that sentence hearing right here on Atlanta News First Plus, wherever you stream. So whether that's Roku TV, YouTube, Apple TV, on any of those platforms, and then some, and of course on the free Atlanta News First app, we will be carrying that live for you to see what will be those next steps for Hannah Payne. But again, that family seems to be somewhat relieved. You know, the life of their loved one never going to come back, but they feel that justice is being served. All right. So another story that we're watching right now, jury selection just getting underway about 7 minutes ago, right at 11 o'clock, of a former district attorney here in Fulton County. So this is Paul Howard. You might know that name if you've been here for some time. This is Paul Howard, where jury selection has begun for him because there was a case that was filed against him regarding sexual harassment. Paul Howard is accused of pressuring a former employee into engaging in sexual activities. Now, Howard has denied all of these charges, and he actually was fighting for that case to be dismissed, but the judge ruled that there is enough evidence to proceed with the case, so it has gone before a jury. It will go before a jury, I should say. So again, Paul Howard, the jury selection is underway for that case against him regarding sexual harassment allegations that he's up against right now. All right, now here is something that I think everybody needs to know, because even if you don't drive a Tesla, you know someone who does, right? Take a look at this. There's a Tesla recall for millions of vehicles because we have learned that there are autopilot safety flaws. Now, this recall covers models Y, S, 3, and X that were all produced between October 5th of 2012 and December 7th of this year. Now, to put things into perspective for you, that's essentially just about all of the American models that we have here. Yeah. You see you hear the years, you say, okay, 2012 to 2023, that's about 10 years. Well, think about when Tesla actually started, right? So that's a lot of the models that are here, just about all of them. This recall comes after a 2-year investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration regarding the same autopilot system. There is an investigation that found there were numerous accidents over the past several years that suggest these features too need to live up to their names of autopilot and full self-driving. Now, if you have a Tesla, you may be saying to yourself, okay, so what am I supposed to do with all of this? Because I've got to get to work. I've got to do whatever, right? Well, you're just urged not to use the feature. Not saying you can't drive the car, but just be careful if you choose to use that feature. They're actually urging you not to do that. All right, this last story that we've got, let's talk about the American dream. It's probably not something that you think too much about, because if you feel like you're living the American dream, you're saying, oh, well, I'm just living day to day, right? Well, what about those who are trying to find the American dream, or those who are just transitioning into the real world? Maybe they're just getting out of college and they're asking, what are the next steps for me? We know how expensive it is in a place like Atlanta. And it's not just Atlanta, it's everywhere right now. If you are expecting to achieve the quote-unquote American dream, according to a new analysis from the financial site Investopedia, achieving that gold standard now costs $3.4 million over the course of a lifetime. Now, that's over the course of a lifetime. I believe the average lifetime, if I remember correctly from some of the latest studies, is still in the 70s somewhere. I don't want to give you an actual number, but in the 70s. So $3.4 million by the time you're 70-something would be the idea of living the American dream. Now, this analysis includes costs for owning a home, for paying for college, for getting married, saving for retirement, all of the things that we grew up learning you had to do in order to be quote-unquote successful, right? Well, research from Georgetown University shows that the median earning for the typical American worker is just $1.7 million over their lifetime. So, not so close in reach as you would probably hope, right? But thanks so much for spending some time with us here at this 11 o'clock hour. We do have news stories that are coming up for you on Atlanta News First at noon, including all of those fires that we were watching in the overnight hours. We did learn in the 9 o'clock hour while we were on the air, Atlanta News First, Madeline Montgomery was on scene of a fire in Midtown on State Street, off of State Street, where unfortunately 2 people were killed in that fire. This morning we have been reporting that there were 3 people who had to be taken to the hospital, but we did learn again that unfortunately 2 of those people did die from the police chief there. So she's going to have more on that on Atlanta News First at noon. Also, we can't forget about your weather today, because look at this. We take this live look outside over Midtown, and it seems like it's the same old story, at least for this week, right? It's going to be cold. Then it warms up a little bit in the afternoon, but how warm will it get? We've got weather where you are in just a bit right here on Atlanta News First Plus at 11:30. We'll see you.